Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back for another Total War video with the Terminator. Divide Et Impera for Rome 2 Total War is the perfect example of what modders can do for a Total War game. It's got new mechanics, it's got thousands of new units, it's got new factions, new buildings, new technologies, it's got new everything. And most importantly, it makes Rome 2 Total War actually enjoyable and at times challenging to play. But the campaigns you get in DEI aren't the only ones available. The team have another mod in the Steam Workshop that gives the player a unique, fantastic campaign experience that is even more challenging and, trust me, even more enjoyable. The mod I'm talking about, of course, is the glorious DEI Alexander campaign, and in this video I'll be running through everything about it, from the historically accurate details, the immense challenge for the player, to the fantastic unit diversity. And by the end of this video, you will absolutely want to give it a try yourself. So let's get started. DEI Alexander takes place in 335 BC, just after Alexander's father Philip was assassinated, giving rise to the young heir's campaign against the mighty Achaemenid Empire. As the player, you take control of Alexander's Macedon and set out to crush the Thracian revolt in your Balkan conquest before venturing forth to conquer Persia bit by bit from Anatolia all the way to the fringes of India. For the moment, Macedon is the only playable faction in the mod, but others may get added in the future depending on the DEI team's priorities. But to be perfectly honest, if you're just starting out, if you only had a few campaigns in the main DEI mod, Macedon on hard or very hard will be a very enjoyable, decent enough challenge for your first few playthroughs. Reenacting history is a brilliant thing, of course, and one of the reasons why I loved the original Rome Total War's Alexander expansion, but this mod, guys, is a whole new level of that campaign. From the family tree to being able to recruit Alexander's marshals along your campaign to the fantastic array of battles you can get yourself into as you go deeper and deeper into Persian territory, this mod has it all. It's quintessential Divide Et Impera and a brilliant, unique campaign story that you just absolutely need to try out. But what makes the DEI Alexander submod so unique and interesting, of course, is the challenge. Aside from the powerful Persian roster that you're up against in the battles, the campaign gets more and more difficult to manage as you conquer more Persian territory. You have to deal with more cities to manage, more avenues for Persia to be able to claw back some of their settlements. Public order needs to be maintained, and you have to do your best to keep friendly relations with all your other neighbors. It's definitely a challenge, but one that is so enjoyable in every way. And beyond that, if you're trying to stick to historical accuracy, if you're trying to complete your campaign before Alexander's actual date of death, it's even more challenging because you don't have that much time. It's more pressure. And with a mod like this, with a campaign like this, it makes it even more enjoyable to try and play and finish. It's also worth noting that everything that Divide Et Impera does so well is also in this mod. So you have to deal with setting up supply lines to keep your armies prepared and well fed. You have to keep population in mind as you venture further into Persian territory. The point being here is that the depth and immersion you get from the main DEI mod translates over to the Alexander campaign, so make sure you're familiar with all of these new mechanics and have experience managing them. DEI Alexander was first released back in 2019, so in the grand scheme of things, it's actually quite a young mod, and it's still being updated. With the latest update, we got the Marshals of Alexander, so now you can recruit each of Alexander's key companions along your campaign journey and have them be a part of your armies as individual units. Such a brilliant feature that does wonders to campaign immersion, so very well done to the DEI team for that. Unit rosters as well are absolutely fantastic, from Macedonian companion cavalry to pikemen, of course, to Alexander himself on the battlefield. It all comes to life really, really well. One thing I especially like is how much effort has gone into auxiliary unit rosters. Historically, Alexander relied quite heavily on recruiting local auxiliaries to bolster his armies. So from Thracian shock infantry to Carian axemen, it's a real joy to discover fantastic new units units like these as your campaign progresses, as you get further and further into Persian territory, and you kind of get desperate enough to recruit new local units. Speaking of the units, of course, DEI has always been praised for its unit visuals and detail, and that same passion and effort they've put into the main mod translates here as well, with amazing looking shields, helms, swords. The companion cavalry themselves look absolutely brilliant as well as they charge into Persian lines. One of my personal favorites, though, of course, is the pikemen. Alexander didn't have loads of them, so they are pivotal. Minimizing casualties for these units is so important to keep up your momentum in the campaign, so I put extra emphasis on my battles to keep these guys alive. And honestly, with this unit detail, how could you let any of these guys die? You know what I mean? The battles themselves, also as in DEI, play out really well with a good balance of interesting unit detail, longer battles than usual, but not too long, of course. You get immersed in what's going on. You want to take a pause here and there to see Alexander himself wipe out a Persian unit with his marshals. This is the epitome of modded gaming right here. It all comes together absolutely brilliantly. There are, however, a few things worth noting just to manage your expectations, guys. With DEI 1.2.8, there are a few bugs and crashes in the mod. So to do everything you can to avoid as many of them as possible, load the submod above the main 3 DEI mods. And if you're experiencing crashes especially, try re-downloading Alexander and verifying your game files. At the very worst case scenario, you can try downloading DEI and Alexander from the ModDB pages and not through Steam Workshop, which generally should lead to a more stable experience. The other thing is that Macedon is the only playable faction. I would love to personally play as Persia or one of the satrapies, or even a faction like Rome or Egypt, just to mix things up a little bit and have a different kind of campaign in this time period, but it's just not possible at the moment. The DEI team are working on the main DEI mod exclusively, as well as other modding projects for other games, so they are a very busy bunch of guys. Hopefully in the near future, we get a new update for this amazing mod that makes it even more compatible, maybe with DEI 1.2.9 coming this winter. Persia as a playable faction would be a must in my books, mainly for the new challenge of maintaining an empire against an enemy with a superior roster, and hopefully we get some bug and crash fixes as well for anyone experiencing them. But overall, Alexander is absolutely amazing. Of all my DEI campaigning, being able to take Alexander and fulfill his father's pan-Hellenic plans in a modern-looking Total War game is a dream come true. From fantastic and challenging campaign gameplay, brilliant-looking units, everything is just awesome, and I cannot recommend it enough. And that's it for today, guys. I've added a link below in the video description to the submod on the Steam Workshop so you can get right in there and check it out for yourself. Be sure to drop by the DEI Discord server as well for any feedback, questions, or suggestions to the team. I'm sure they would really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and if you did, give it a like and drop any thoughts or questions in the comments section below. Subscribe for more Total War content, gameplay, and news, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.